Thank you all for being here. Thank you for organizing the AI track. I am really, really excited about this panel that came together, and these are all people that I really respect their work and their humility and their technical chops. So I think it'll be a good discussion. I was driving up earlier this week from San Diego, and I was really thinking about Python, AI tools, science, and I think we all have different perspectives and uses of it. So this is not going to really be a debate of should we or shouldn't we. This is really going to be more about time is our most precious asset that we have, and the connections that we build with other humans and the relationships for innovation, I think, are super important, as well as the joy of learning and exploration as we try and navigate through what is the new normal, is really important. And how do we use these tools to accomplish the first few things? And so I want to jump right into it and start with the panelists, and maybe we'll start here with Catherine and let them introduce themselves. And maybe like your name, your role, and maybe one sentence or so on what you use AI for daily.
Hi, I'm Catherine Nelson. I'm a solo builder starting my own business, and I use Claude Code on a daily basis to help me build software for extracting data from messy documents.
Hi, my name is Maike Scherer. I work for American Airlines as a lead data scientist, although data science is not really what I do. What I do is support data scientists in making sure they have all the tools that they need. The way that I use AI on the daily is really just to help build and help people build everything I need to build faster than I used to, and help people. Somebody brings a query to me, I'm like, I have no idea what this is about. Okay, VS Code, tell me what it's about.
Wait, great. Now let's jump to the other side.
Hello, my name is Laís. I work as growth marketing and developer advocate for Pydantic. And, well, I do a little bit of, Python community work as well. And yes, a little bit, Carol.
A lot of it, but that's okay.
I use AI tools mostly so I used to work as a software developer before. So I'm using AI tools to help me speed up my learning process on the marketing side of things, because I'm completely new on marketing. But it also on the transition of like how much can I automate, like how much of software developer can I automate to go into the marketing side of things. I think that's, in a nutshell, that's
cool.
Hi, I'm Jodie. I am a data scientist and developer advocate at JetBrains. And I actually use AI on a daily basis, something a little different. I've been struggling to learn German and now Spanish for some time. And I have little language tutors set up for me in Claude. So this is my most common use.
Very cool.
Hi, I'm Jelle. I'm a member of the core team of CPython, also of the Python Typing Council. I work in developer productivity at OpenAI, where we use a lot of AI. We also create some of it, but we also use it. So I use Codex to do most of my coding. I often use it to summarize discussions, understand bugs, many purposes.
Thank you all. And just to give the audience a flavor of where we're going to try and go with this conversation, but if the conversation gets spicy or really interested, I'm going to let the panelists kind of go for it. So this is the general plan. So I'm going to start with Jelle, and maybe share with us what workflows that you use to get work done in your daily work.
Yeah, for the most part, I use Codex. Obviously, at OpenAI, that's what we use. I, for the most part, just ask Codex to implement something. It gives me a first version. I look at the code. I tell it to run tests. I often tell it to run tests before I have to look at it, so that I don't have to go back. And I keep going until it's something that I like. I have a couple of workflows that just automatically create PRs for me for fixing something. Like there might be some category of things that we know are broken, and I just set up a fleet of codexes that try to fix it, have a clear condition to verify that they fixed the thing they are supposed to fix. Then they open a PR in draft, I look at it. If I think it's good, I mark it as ready, and other people can review it.
Cool. Maike, you want to jump in and same question?
Yeah, so GitHub Copilot is usually my go-to. The first thing, when there's something really simple that I have to add to a library or any configurations I have to set, I just go create an issue. I already know what I want. I put it in an issue. I assign it to Copilot. Copilot does usually the right thing. If it doesn't, I give it some feedback. I approve the PR, merge my code, and I save a lot of time that way because I no longer have to pull my code. I no longer have to proofread myself. And then on the other hand, the way I use AI or Copilot specifically is when I have to write code. I might need to do something that isn't in any documentation, something more difficult to figure out, and I just have a chat back and forth. Like, hey, I need to do this. Copilot comes back with something, well, this isn't going to work because ABC, but let's try that. I try something myself. We just kind of have that back and forth discussion. And so there's things that used to take me maybe a couple of days to figure out, maybe having to go to our platform teams to have some back and forth, have them help me. Now Copilot just helps me have that conversation and figure things out. So it's super useful, really speeds up what I do.
Neat. Jodie, you want to jump in and sort of tell us a little bit about what you use daily?
Yeah, so no surprise, I'm using the AI tools in PyCharm. So we have a range of different agents that plug in via ACP, the Agent Client Protocol, sorry. What I'm trying to do at the moment actually is formalize my process a bit more and make system messages and context a bit more clean. So I've been playing around with actually a data cleaning workflow which uses skills to try to formalize a lot of the knowledge that I have about, subtleties of data cleaning, things like missingness, things like outliers, how you treat them. And it's actually working, it's working okay. It's a little bit broken at the moment, but this for me is a much cleaner way of working and having kind of all this knowledge that I use again and again and again formalized in these markdown skills.
Okay, that's great. So it sounds like things are still evolving in how you're using it.
Oh, yeah.
Catherine, what about you?
Could you repeat the question, Cal?
I can totally repeat the question. How do you walk us through one task this week that you've used AI tools for?
So one task this week that I used AI tools for was to just deploy myself a new website, which took me approximately half an hour. I designed it, I built it, I deployed it, and it's out there straight away. And I'm doing a lot of things. This has been a theme that's really struck home for me more recently, is that things are taking me so much less time than is possible. So much less time than I expected. OpenAI open sourced a privacy-related model 3 weeks ago, and I already built it into a deployed app. I could never have imagined doing that until recently.
Interesting. And just for folks in the audience, you're a data scientist by training, not a web developer by training.
Correct. It lets me pick up the adjacent areas that I'm not as familiar with.
Cool. Very cool. Laís?
Yeah, so I think my latest project was improving SEO for content written by the engineers on the Pragmatic blog. So basically I have a Pragmatic AI agent that runs on CI and has a look at all the blog posts that have been written on the last, let's say, week, and improves the SEO with specific guidelines that I have. To improve that blog post, and then also to generate some the scaffold of the social media posts that then I use to advertise for that specific publication. So marketing.
Very cool. So it sounds like pretty much everybody's using it to either reduce toil, increase their ability to get work done, and do things more efficiently, which I think is great. I have a question, because one of the things that I've done the last few months, or 6 months, is I've changed my workflow a lot. It feels like it changes like every month, and I'm wondering, like, what did you really see in your workflows that changed in the past 6 months? And Jelle, maybe start with you, and then whoever wants to jump in after that.
Yeah, for me it was interesting because I was on parental leave at my job until beginning of January for a few months. So when I came back, we were just starting in a stage where most people were really starting to use agents heavily to write code. So I had to sort of relearn how to do software engineering after my leave to really lean on agents more to do my coding.
That's fascinating, given what a great coder you are.
Yeah, and I think since then, I guess things have improved, and I have to learn like how to use the agents effectively, what maybe they're not as good at yet, how I use them best. But yeah, the biggest change was really like coming back from my leave, and suddenly agents are a real thing that can write big chunks of code.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good metaphor for how quickly things are moving. Does anybody else have something they want to share on that front? Last 6 months, surprises?
Yeah, go. No, you
No, you go.
We're going to be very polite here. You don't need to be polite.
Okay. Give me this microphone. No. So MCP usage. I've been using MCP tools to have a look at usage data for our application. So basically, like we have an observability tool, and that has an MCP. So I'm looking at like what are the customers that have been using like the largest number of data, like what's the ones that have the largest number of evaluation set up, and using that then to feed into the go-to-market workflow. Again, marketing. But MCP usage has been the thing that I've adopted the last 6 months.
Any other comments, thoughts?
I guess something non-code related. I have access to MS Copilot Studio now, and just being able to have it create documents for me, whether that's in my role working for an employee, a team member, a resource group. I might have to create a slide, I might have to create a sign-up sheet, and I used to just print something really ugly because I just don't have the eye for it. Mm-hmm. Now I give it our logo and I tell, hey, make this sign-up sheet, and it creates something really pretty. And so now instead of putting out this ugly table, we have something really nice that otherwise, if I had tried to spend half an hour on it, it wouldn't even have looked this good. Same thing with PowerPoint presentations. Makes really good PowerPoint presentations, and I used to never make those.
Those of you that are writing presentations this week, pro tip. Catherine?
I think one thing that I'm excited about from the last 6 months is actually small models. As well as the big frontier models, there's all sorts of extremely efficient models that will run in the browser or run locally, and
I've been doing the same thing, and I've been really pleasantly surprised what I can run on a small system like just a MacBook Air versus the GPU systems that I have at home. Jodie, any hot takes?
I think I maybe want to point out that even though I work in a role where I'm supposed to keep on top of all this stuff, it is extremely overwhelming. And I feel like, honestly, the field is very jargonistic. A lot of this stuff is just markdown files, but we give it fancy names. But I think there's also a move to, obviously these models work on natural language, but natural language can also involve languages that are not natural languages. Mm-hmm. So obviously a lot of these models have consumed machine code and things like that. I don't know what to call it, machine code, programming languages. So I'm seeing kind of cleverer ways to feed the information in, but I also can kind of see things almost feel like people are excited about the rate of change without necessarily sitting and evaluating how much change we're actually making. Like, are skills really something that new? Not really. It's something we thought about 2 years ago. Like, more targeted context gives you better results. So, I don't know, I just wanted to maybe make a little comment that sometimes I feel a bit overwhelmed, so I can't imagine I'm the only one.
I think you're probably not the only one that is wondering about dealing with the pace of change. Should I be learning this? Should I be learning that? And you kind of led us into the next topic, which is how do we know, or how do you decide what to learn and when to stop learning something? And any one of you that wants to start off, maybe Catherine being our author and educator as well as business owner.
For me, I choose to learn things that get me towards my goals. So I think about where I want to go, what I want to achieve, what I want to build, and then I'll go out and learn the best tool for the job. Sometimes that might be an AI tool, sometimes it isn't. I find it's always valuable to learn these things. I try and not get on the bandwagon as soon as it arrives, but I let it sit around for a little bit and then I learn it if it seems like it's going to be useful and interesting to me.
Maike, you support a lot of folks. What do you think about that?
I learned the tools that solve a problem for me. So if I have to build a CI/CD pipeline, I learn something like GitHub Copilot. I learned something like building a GitHub workflow and GitHub Actions. If I have to, I don't know, write more code more efficiently, then I learn how to use Copilot. But you always have to pick which tools actually make sense. Because I was in the same place recently where I'm like, okay, we have MS Copilot, we have GitHub Copilot, we have Databricks, which has Genie in it. Which one actually makes sense for me to use? Am I going to go build MS Copilot agents? Well, probably not. They don't solve a problem that I'm trying to solve. And so I really had to step back from being pulled into all of these directions, trying to learn all these tools that don't make sense to me for what I need to solve for.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Any more thoughts over here? Jelle? Or no? You can pass. Okay. You know, it's interesting because one of the things that I have dove deep into at the end of last year was how can I break all of these things? And I'm wondering, you know, and part of the reason I was doing that was I wanted to see if I was creating something new, that there wasn't an existing project already out there that did it, how would the models respond? And I'm wondering, you know, you do a lot of new stuff with typing and with Core Python. Is there some tips that you can give the audience as to how do you deal with something new that hasn't been done before?
Yeah, I haven't been doing a ton of open source development lately because I've been busier with work, but in general, I feel the models have been very good at making changes to things like Core Python. Actually, this morning I had an idea for something we might want to change in Python during a talk. I told Codex to implement it, and it did it in like 5 minutes. And I don't know if we're going to do that thing, but it's really nice to be able to experiment with. It seems to have taken a reasonable path to implementing it. So yeah, I think the models do know how to do things that are new, perhaps, even when they haven't seen that specific area that much. Like Codex apparently was able to figure out how Python's grammar file works and how to make changes to it in a fairly advanced way.
That's great. I think that's cool. I'm going to have to use more of that. Along with the rate of change, what I'm seeing with some very, like Eric Ma, who's a data scientist who runs several data science teams at Moderna, you know, there is a hyper-focus and excitement about these tools, but then also some fatigue that comes in. And I'm wondering if any of you have experienced either that excitement or that, oh my gosh, what am I doing and why am I doing this? And if you're willing to share with our audience.
Yeah, so I actually had a bit of a crash out at the end of last year because I was so tired of keeping on top of everything that was happening in AI. And it's interesting because the conversations around AI are not just about the technology. They're about economics, and they're about job security, and they're about the role of juniors. And overall, I found the discourse in the news pretty negative, at least for those of us on the ground who will need to have a job in the future, and quite depressing for juniors. I guess for me, I've always loved LLMs. I was using LLMs when they first came out. I've been in natural language processing for a long time, and I think the technology is incredible and beautiful. I think sometimes the way that it is pushed on us, especially I have seen, or I've heard from people who have said, pretty much I work on a team where they're getting me to write skills files to write me out of a job, which I still don't think is possible, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. I think it's a complex landscape that we exist in right now, and I look forward to a time where we can just enjoy the technology without all of this noise and speculation.
Cool. Any other thoughts? Good, bad, exciting things that have motivated you?
So one thing that I'm noticing is that everybody wants to use AI for everything now. For instance, somebody wanted to build a trigger for a Databricks notebook from Teams. And so they were going to build an agent to do that for them. Well, you don't need an agent for that, right? A couple other scenarios that were brought to me recently. I'm like, oh, I want to build an agent that can do this. And like, you don't need an agent for that. So it seems like everybody wants to build an agent for everything now, and we need to step back and sometimes think, hey, this can be done with a simple script. We don't need to have an agent for every single item.
But like, have you ever done the thing of like, you're just prompting and prompting and prompting, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, like at CSS or like something is not aligned, and you're like, I could fix this in like 10 seconds. Let me write a prompt. You know, like.
And does it take 10 seconds when you write a prompt?
No, it takes like 10 minutes. You know, because you need to correct them afterwards, and then there's the whole process. But is this like a symptom of being addicted to writing agents or addicted to prompting, you think?
I think it's a symptom of everybody being pushed to use AI and everybody feeling like they're falling behind the curve and feeling like they need to be up to date on all these technologies. But the same way how maybe 10 years ago when did all this React stuff come out for JavaScript? I don't know if anybody here is in the web dev space. I remember I was, oh my gosh, I need to learn React, I need to learn Node, I need to understand this. Oh my gosh, I'm already behind here, and I'm not up to date on HTML5. Where am I going first? And I was trying to learn everything all at once, and then I had to step back. Like, I don't need to learn everything at once. I need to just be good at one thing. And so I taught myself that. And I think it's the same thing with AI, right? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I need to understand Claude. I need to understand this. No, just figure something out that's good, that works for you, try to understand that, and then your skills will build upon that, right? You're really good at writing Python, you learn a new language, you'll pick it up because you know it. Same thing, if you've gotten good at one AI tool, you'll pick up the other ones too. I think.
Sounds good. So we're kind of getting down to maybe 8 minutes left on this panel, and what I would love each of you to do, and we'll kind of go this way and then back the other way. Start with, what recommendation would you give somebody who's relatively new to using AI tools? What tips would you give them?
Be the driver and not the passenger. Make sure that you're controlling it and taking it where you want to go. And I'm going to add a second. Learn a lot about all the scaffolding around writing code, so the ways of working well with software.
Good. Maike?
I second that. I think expertise is still really important, and understanding what the AI is outputting for you. But the other thing, if you want to get started, just start using a tool. Just pick one and start using it. For me, this was GitHub Copilot. When they first came out with it, I was already a VS Code user. There's an extension for it. I just installed it. I didn't even do much research. I had seen what they introduced at GitHub Universe. I was like, this is really cool. Let me install this. And then it just kind of started inserting itself into the conversation. And then I would kind of, okay, how can I have some shortcuts? And so just kind of go for it.
Sounds good. And don't worry, experienced people out there, we're going to get to those recommendations as well. But first time, relatively new users.
Yeah, I would just say try it out and be open to all the things it can do. AI models are evolving rapidly. They might be able to do things that you don't think they can do, that they couldn't do half a year ago. Be open to what it can help you with, but make sure that you understand what's going on so that you can correct it if necessary.
Sounds good.
I think to add to all the other excellent advice, I'd say be well aware that they hallucinate and be aware that you need to have human expertise in the loop. And often the AI will come to the average solution because it's trained on a bunch of code that's probably code written by beginners because that's what the public repositories are. Be aware that it's maybe not going to be the optimal solution. It will be a solution and it may be wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah, I second that. But for me, the core thing is be aware that you cannot outsource the thinking. You still need to think, is this the right solution? Is this output the thing that I want to do? Is this really relevant? You're the driver, as Catherine just said. You are the driver. Make sure that you drive and think about it. That's it.
Okay, so there's still a human in the loop. You wanted to say something, Jelle?
Yeah, I guess I want to add that AIs tend to do exactly what you tell them to do, but what you tell them to do might not be exactly what you want them to do.
I think that's really good advice, and sometimes I think they tend to be pleasers. So they want to give you an answer that will satisfy you, which is not always the answer you want. So looking at recommendations to give people who are further along in their AI journey or will be further along in their AI journey in the next month, what would you share?
I actually have a suggestion I stole from another friend of mine. She has this rule that it's like 1 time in 10. She will try to do the task herself manually because I see it myself. I'm getting very lazy with basic tasks like pandas transformations, or I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered. But you don't want to lose these skills that you fought hard for.
Fair. Any mother for the experienced folks?
I haven't heard many experienced people, maybe I'm wrong, this is just my perception, but I haven't heard many experienced people talking about evaluations. So it's quite interesting to think about.
It's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's probably a number of people in this room that could really talk in depth about evaluations, but and guardrails so that you know whether what you're getting back is really what you're expecting to get back. And, any thoughts on this side on how to address that? Evals, guardrails for experienced folks? You're like, Other advice?
I have some other advice, and it's to use these tools and these models efficiently. They're cheap right now, but they don't come for free. They use a lot of energy. They have a big environmental impact. So yeah, try and use them efficiently.
And another thing for me is we're using AI to help us clean up a lot of tech debt right now, which is awesome. I'm all about organized and clean, so this makes me really happy. What doesn't make me happy is that we have AI create all this code, we push it out, and we push out a lot of garbage that no one's ever going to look at again. Clean up after yourself, right? You might be pushing out all these projects to learn. When you're done with them, you no longer need them. AI wrote all that. AI can write it for you again. You're not using it, delete it, get rid of it. Let's get rid of all this AI trash.
Okay. Well, that was a spicy take. We're going to wrap this up with, we've covered a lot of stuff, a lot of things to think about. What's one thing that hasn't come up that you really want to share with the audience? And I'm going to start with one and then let you guys jump in. I saw this really cool use of AI tools being used to help figure out solutions to rare diseases at Harvard. And I think one of, I'm a pragmatist, so there are things I love about AI tools and things I don't. But I love the fact that it can be used to potentially serve someone who, is suffering with a disease that doesn't have the dollars behind it to really get funded. And so I think there's value there as well. Any other thoughts on what you'd like to share?
I guess I just want to share, it makes me really sad when people question whether they should be getting into tech or being in tech because we're all going to lose our jobs because of AI. AI will write all the code. We all got into tech for a reason, and it's usually because we're quite passionate about the work we do and the problems we solve. That's not going away. It might change, but don't forget why you started here.
I'm quite passionate about education, and the one thing I want to ask all of you here today is, so I've been very worried about the next generation of senior developers because it's quite hard for newbies at the moment. So if you want to help in any way to make the market better, get a newbie and mentor them. Like, get someone that you see that has potential, that is interested, that has some, that has the passion that you might have had one day, and help them become better. Because we really need more human connection when we talk about AI, and it's going to be harder for beginners to become the new seniors. So just please help.
All right. Any last thoughts? No? On this side? With that, I am going to thank all of you for being here, and please thank these panelists for coming together at the last minute and sharing their ideas. Discussion in the hallway track. Thank you also for sponsors, organizers, and have a great PyCon. Hopefully you learned something new.
And also thank you, Carol, for organizing this at the last minute. Thank you so much.